The Gaahleri Mobius 0.2 is marketed as a precision airbrush for artists who want ultra-fine control. But does it actually deliver? I've had this airbrush for about 4 months now, and I've put it through its paces, from covering larger areas to cut and blends to fine line detail work. And today, I'm giving you the honest results. In this review, we're going to take an in-depth look at the Mobius 0.2, its build quality, its features, and weight distribution. We'll talk about its real-world performance, trigger control, atomization, how easy it is to clean, and whether it's worth adding to your toolbox. So let's dive in. So let's take a look at what you get. I like the fact that the inside of the box has the parts breakdown. There are some extra O-rings in here, customer card, quick start guide, and right out of the box, the Mobius 0.2 feels surprisingly refined for its price range. The machining is clean, the chrome finish is smooth and very consistent, and the weight distribution is center balanced, which gives it a more premium feel than you'd expect. In fact, the balance is nearly perfect. I own a lot of airbrushes, and very few are balanced as well as the Mobius. Gaahleri claims perfect weight distribution on their website, and in this case, they're absolutely right. The Mobius also brings several useful features to the table. There's a precision control knob for smooth, on-the-fly airflow adjustments, and the cutaway handle design lets you easily access the trigger spring tension without removing the handle. It's a small detail, but it's incredibly convenient. You also get a fluid control stop on the back of the handle, which helps fine-tune paint flow during detailed work. So you can actually stop the trigger at a certain degree if you choose to do so. Gaahleri even includes a male quick connect fitting in the box, which is a nice little bonus that not every manufacturer provides. Those are all features you don't normally see at this price point, and the overall build quality easily competes with brushes that cost far more. So let's talk about performance, because that's where it really matters. Like most detail-oriented airbrushes, the Mobius 0.2 performs best with thinner paint. Here I'm using Createx Illustration Black, reduced around 4 or 5 to 1, which is 4 or 5 parts of reducer to 1 part paint. The flow becomes smooth and very consistent. With proper reduction and the right air pressure, the atomization is very clean for a 0.2 millimeter needle and nozzle setup. Soft transitions and gradients are easy to achieve with the Mobius. And the Mobius is absolutely capable of pulling consistent fine lines. However, the lines aren't quite as crisp or as sharp as what I get from some of my higher end airbrushes. On Gaahlerie's website, they claim a minimum working pressure of 10 psi, but I have to disagree on that point. At 10 psi, this brush struggled to atomize the paint correctly, producing noticeable grain in the overspray and faded areas. Fine line consistency also degraded at that pressure. Based on my experience, the Mobius is much happier at around 20 psi and above. In contrast, I own other airbrushes that surpass the Mobius at 10 psi using the exact same paint mix. But those options also come with a much higher price tag. So while the Mobius doesn't outperform premium brushes at ultra low air pressure, it still delivers excellent performance for its cost. So let's talk about trigger control, because this is an area where the Mobius 0.2 has room for improvement based on my own experience. Early on, I noticed that depressing the trigger required very deliberate effort. It was very stiff, which isn't ideal for controlled detail work. You could even hear the distinct click on camera every time I pressed down. The trigger on this airbrush is still very stiff. Personally, I prefer a much lighter trigger press. I had hoped it would loosen up with time, but it didn't. Eventually, I disassembled the brush and removed 2 coils from the spring in the air valve guide assembly, which helped lighten the pressure needed to activate the air. Yep. So there's another link removed, so then I can put the spring back on. The other issue for me is the trigger tension adjustment, this knob right here. The thread pitch is very fine and it's very long. There's plenty of adjustment available, but in my opinion, it's really more than necessary. I like a slight amount of free play on the trigger when I start to pull back to release paint. On most of my other airbrushes, that means turning this adjustment knob counterclockwise 1 to 2 turns out from fully seated, and that puts it where I like it. On the Mobius 0.2, it required 6 full turns. What should be a simple adjustment feels a little overcomplicated. Of course, both of these complaints are highly subjective, and they are the only complaints that I have with this airbrush. The overall trigger action is smooth with no noticeable stickiness or chatter during the push or the pull. Cleaning and maintenance are straightforward. The Mobius 0.2 doesn't require anything different than any other gravity feed airbrush available out there. The needle and the nozzle are both easily removed without any tools. The main reason I'm including this section is because Gaahleri claims on their website that their ultra mirror level paint cup reduces buildup and improves cleaning efficiency. Now I will say the chrome finish on the inside of the cup does appear high quality, and a big part of that is the removable and interchangeable cup design. Chrome degradation inside gravity feed cups is nothing new. It happens eventually on every brand, doesn't matter what you have. After 4 months of use, the finish inside this cup still looks great, and it does make cleaning easier, but realistically, I expect it will degrade over time, just like all of the rest. Time will tell. So let's quickly touch on some of the pros and cons. The pros, the weight balance on the Mobius 0.2 is exceptional. Very few airbrushes, even much higher priced airbrushes, are perfectly balanced like the Mobius. Definitely a pro. The machining is clean, the chrome finish is smooth and consistent, and the overall build quality competes with brushes that cost significantly more than the Mobius. With proper reduction and air pressure, atomization is very clean for a 0.2 millimeter needle and nozzle setup, and soft transitions are easy to achieve with the Mobius. The trigger action itself is very smooth with no stickiness or chatter during the push or the pull. Gaahleri includes several features you don't normally see at this price point, including the precision airflow control knob, the rear paint stop, and even a male quick connect. And performance with this airbrush has been consistent and predictable as long as the air pressure is set correctly for your reduction ratio. Another big pro in my book is the availability of replacement parts. Let's face it, accidents happen. Over the years, I've dropped airbrushes and even clipped the needle tip against the substrate, which usually results in a bent needle. So the fact that Gaahleri offers a full line of replacement parts for their airbrushes is a huge plus. As far as the cons, the trigger air valve spring is far too stiff out of the box for my liking, and in my case, it never loosened up with use. I had to physically modify it to get the trigger feel that I prefer. The trigger tension adjustment uses an extremely fine, long thread pitch, which makes a simple adjustment a lot more complicated than it really should be. Despite Gaahlerie's claim of 10 psi minimum, the Mobius struggled at that pressure during my testing. Atomization suffered, overspray became grainy, and fine line consistency degraded. While this airbrush can pull fine lines, they aren't quite as crisp or clean as what I get from certain higher end models. The Ultra Mirror level cup is easy to clean and still looks great after 4 months, but long-term durability remains to be seen. Chrome always wears eventually. Overall, the Gaahleri Mobius 0.2 delivers impressive results for its price. If you're looking for a detail-oriented airbrush without the high price tag, it's definitely worth considering. It does have its limits, but the overall quality and performance have genuinely impressed me. And here's a little bonus. Currently, Gaahleri is running their Black Friday sale. It runs through December 18th, so there are some big discounts on their website. I will also leave a link in the description below that's a discount code. It will take you directly to Gaahleri's website and it automatically applies the discount to your cart if you add something to your cart. The cool thing about it is you can stack my discount on top of the already lower prices on the website. I hope all of that makes sense. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, and share. I'm Trevor with Wicked Art Studio. I will see you next time.